Hello and welcome to another video. So we're taking a look at an Evo rune, Evo Ginger rune if you want to get real particular about the deck variation. This one of course is not a Machina support deck, as a Machina support deck it doesn't feel that great. Well, this does, and I'll preface it by saying of course, while it does run a lot of Machina cards, I mean we're running Hoverboard Mercenary, Techno Lord, Mechawing Angel, Robo Goblin, those sort of cards. That doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a Machina follower deck, as most Machina rune decks actually run, of course, the draw card, which is Mechanized Lifeform, I think, for the top of my head, and a few other cards you've probably already seen before that are very heavily teched towards that Machina archetype. This one is definitely only subtle additives, and they aren't the obviously core of the deck, they're definitely support cards. So all of those cards actually mainly just support the Technolord clearing ability and the fact that they all run fairly decent spell effects, excluding Hoverboard Mercenary, which of course doesn't. Everything else actually supports the rest of the archetype, which is of course to Evo and get as many Evo as possible, which is obviously the main thing you want to do with a cursed world. You want to be able to get out those followers, get the Evo effects rolling, get your Zeus up, do all those fun things. So that's why we are running Warring Thunders, we are running the Warring Flame. We've also of course got Lovely Heart Monica, which is just basically infinite resource right there as far as Evos go, unless of course we get transformed or banished, but if we don't, yeah, infinite resource. Beckoning, I don't know, I give up, doesn't matter. Either way, that's another Evo based card. And everything else really is just to support that, get around things, deal with boards, and get into those plays where a Cursed World and Zeus can become playable and just win you the game. So we are going to get right into this and take a look. So the first game is against Portalcraft. No surprise there, Portal is becoming more and more popular day by day as we of course go into this meta. No shock there. I can't blame them, it is quite an interesting deck type now to work around, and there are at least a few different varieties as far as the engine goes. Most of them are running a very similar base core deck, wearing around the, of course, artifacts, but there are some interesting techs, some interesting choices you can make to really make your deck just that little bit more unique. So there's the Magisteel Lion. Actually completely predictable. All I've got is this Hoverboard Mercenary though to go out on 2, and honestly there's no reason not to play it. It's a free card for the Technolord go, plus it gives us the Robo Goblin out of our deck, thinning it more to get what we could possibly want. And unfortunately we don't have any other play other than Mechawing Angel at this point. Again, trying to support the Technolord, get more cards out. We actually got shafted pretty hard for this early game. I didn't want to really have to play those out like that, but I mean, it's Portal, they had a really nice hand as far as curving out goes, and there wasn't a lot we could do against that in the early stages. Although now is a different story, because turn 4, Lovely Heart Monica. Perfect play for dealing with these followers. We can take out at least 2 of them, and some of the more pragmatic ones at least. And we can start setting ourselves up for long-term Evos. Omen of Destruction, not the card I want to see, but also not the worst possible outcome. So we've actually got a fairly decent chance of just wiping this, which is using our second Monica, drawing some more things out. Luckily we did get Ginger, which means now every Evo is actually going to give us some value on the Ginger play. It's actually a pity that Grimnir as Warring Thunder, I believe, doesn't have a bit more value. Or actually no, is it Warring Wind or Warring Thunder? I always forget. I'll take a look in a second once, of course, my opponent lets me look at cards in my hand. Warring Tempest doesn't actually have its own Evo support. Like, it's got the Evo clear, but that's really it. Otherwise, it doesn't have a Evo effect like the other two do. A little disappointed by that one. If it did have a warring kind of Evo effect, this deck would be even more crazy, of course. So now that we've got past that turn 6-ish stage, we are on the Ginger turn. Of course, we don't actually have a way to go for an Evo with Ginger yet. You really need that turn 8 now. Ginger plus the Mora will actually give us an Evo, which would allow us to evolve Ginger and then, of course, take the game by storm. So all I can do now is focus on Warring Thunder, going for the Evo, so that's free at least, brings Ginger down a little bit further, and also gives us that nice little repair mode now to use, since we've got the extra points to heal. Buy us a little bit of time to go for that bigger Zeus play in the end. Because right now, our best line of play is definitely going to be going for that Ginger, getting it out, getting it evoed, wiping out whatever we can, and dealing with things that way. And since we've seen 4 evos, that was the perfect strike on the 4-4. It now means our Ginger can take minimal damage while actually having a good board presence. Plus, the evo effect will actually give us a fairly decent go of things. And now we get a 0 cost card every single turn, giving us that value we need to take advantage of for these Zeus plays. Which, based on the cards we currently have, is definitely what we wanted. Also, if they cannot take out at least the Monica, we'll be looking at a potential Zeus lethal at this point in the game. Destruction in black, that's nice, that's nice. They're definitely going for it now. But they didn't manage to take it out, so we only need 10 damage. If our Zeus can pull off 10 damage, we win the game. Just straight off the bat win, which would be awesome. And we didn't get it. Okay. That's fairly disappointing. Definitely not what you want to see. And I shouldn't have evolved the Robo-Goblin. That was actually a huge error on my part. Monica was definitely the Evo play. I could have actually pinged off the follow-up, went face for 2 extra damage, and made my potential Zeus actually a little easier, since I would only need 10 damage and now not 12.
Let us end this war.
The only advantage is, since this Zeus doesn't need to have a cost reduction, we can take the chance of just throwing it down. We've got fairly good odds of reaching our limit and getting over the ward, which we did for exactly 12 damage. Definitely a risky play though, could have mitigated it a little bit. They always say that hindsight is 20/20, so in that last game that was definitely the case. I don't always make the best plays. I never claim to be the best Shadowverse player. I've definitely got a lot of experience behind me as far as playing in, of course, tournaments against some of the better players around the world, and of course playing a lot on ladder, and by I mean a lot, I mean I have thousands of hours in this game now, ranging from mobile and Steam, so I've got that at least some experience behind me. But that still doesn't make me necessarily, like I said, the best player. Especially since I like to think more of a jack of all trades. Play a little bit of everything, neglecting, of course, Forest, since that's what class players don't play enough, but a jack of almost everything else. Alright, so the early start didn't really go that well. We didn't really get far, and without dealing with 0-1, we really don't have a lot more to go for. I did want to clear out my hand a little bit and get some early stuff going, and that was really the best I could do. Trying to stick something to the board so that Warring Flame could potentially get an Evo, so that we'd actually have some decent Evo effects going on, so I could actually get Ginger out on turn 6. That's really what I wanted to aim for. And it looks like that actually went fairly well. We're going to be able to go for that turn 6 Ginger with an Evo effect, and potentially even go for a turn 7 Zeus, which I don't mind too much at all. Plus 4 damage to face. So this match actually went our way fairly quickly. It was a very rapid decline for our opponent, at least in this early stage of the game. But the Elena board presence is definitely going to be an Achilles heel for us. I mean, the Holy Bow, that's not going to be good. Although we should nearly be able to take most of this out without too much trouble. It just means we can't quite go for Ginger yet. Means we do have to hold off going for it. But because we do have the Genius in our hand as well, that gives us some potential for a turn 8 play instead. And actually gave us an okay board, which then immediately got removed by Repose, but I mean, at that point, beggars really can't be choosers. I did decide, of course, to give up that turn. There's no reason to play my Evo at all, since I want to use it to my full advantage. And Angelic Smite now, getting rid of the ward, so we don't have to deal with that thing. Even though I probably could have just went straight on and got rid of Elena. The ward was actually, I think, on 8 health, which would have made it problematic no matter what I did. So getting rid of it now was definitely the right move. And since they've already used their Evos and they're relying heavily on damage presence now, they can't actually remove things super easily. Although this was a good combination of cards. I never expected Feather to be something that they would actually run. But it does make a lot of sense. You can get a lot of value out of something like that. So I did decide to actually push to try and get some more Evos first, while also setting up at least some defensive play, because our Zeus right now wasn't on the highest Evo count, if I'm correct. 7 is good, but it's not really 20 damage good, and that's what we need right now. And if we can't get 20 damage, we need to at least be able to get past their ward. And so I had to make a decision. I decided to make the Zeus cost 1, which loses us 4 attack. That 4 attack we should be able to gain. Unfortunately though, it did not work out. I was actually really disappointed. I had this really cool setup going where I wanted to get that 4 damage made up, potentially go for a really good go of it, and we just missed out on it, which is disappointing. This was still good, 13-10 and a 3 damage spell, but it wasn't the be-all end-all. Fortunately, I don't think at this point they realized yet, or if they did, they just didn't care, but a ward won't stop my Zeus. It's already got Ignore Ward, so that's just 13 damage straight to the face if you couldn't deal with it, and we've already seen a lot of removal lost from the Haven player, so no surprise that they couldn't end up dealing the final blow. So that does wrap up this deck as far as playing it goes, and honestly, again, another deck I actually had a fair bit of fun with it. It's got some definitely potential behind it. Maybe if I worked on the deck a little bit, got it to where I was more comfortable with it and it wasn't just more of a straight up net deck version, I could definitely see myself playing this deck a lot more, but for now, I'm pretty comfortable with how this deck's performed, and basically just tweaking numbers and stuff to work out what's more comfortable for you, what you enjoy playing more, what you're finding to be better in each meta, and that's really the sign of a better player, of course, being able to tweak those minor changes enough to actually make a difference in your winning. So, if you guys did enjoy this video, hit the like button and subscribe. You'll find the deck list in the description below. Until next time, guys, see ya.